Virtually every major news organization, both on the left and the right, has dedicated many hours today to the coverage of the 80th anniversary of D-Day, but none of them have addressed the real battlefield. The real battlefield was the battlefield of the mind of those soldiers as they approached the beach. None of them had the luxury of operating emotionally, because if they had given 1 inch into their emotions, they would have never made it out of the ships. The first wave coming out saw an empty beach, and they heard fire. They heard those trying to defend this beach. But then those who came in second and third saw a beach littered with corpses. That would have been an entirely different challenge, wouldn't it? This is why we talk about the battlefield of the mind. What the initial wave faced was something very different than what the second, third, and fourth waves faced. But there's even a bigger story out now that I think shows, without any doubt, that when you operate emotionally, you'll miss things and you will not succeed. As much as you might try to hide things and obfuscate things, when you operate in emotion only, you will slip up every single time. If you would like to find the ways and the keys to not have that happen to you, join us over at the Florida Monkey Patreon channel, where it's only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year, and fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked, regardless of what you think or regardless of what you feel, or any combination of both. The rules apply to everybody. Now, we're going to take a little bit of a left turn and show an article that I'm sure a lot of people saw, but nobody really comprehended what it said. Over the years, many have made the allegation that the moon landings were faked, that way back in the 1960s, they could not have possibly foreseen the day when the average person like you and me could look at detailed, high-resolution images of the pictures that were taken and address all of the different inconsistencies and put together a picture that would show the U.S. government lied. And do that in the context of a government that's continuing to lie to you today about so many other different things. Now, what's the new article? What does this have to do with D-Day? Well, you see, D-Day, they didn't have the ability to give in to their emotions. And today, the media does nothing but give in to their emotions. And as a result of that, they slip up and they goof. Now, this is a 4-minute read from CNN. You know, Facts First CNN? CNN that debunks every conspiracy theory in the world, that automatically believes everything the government tells them. This is an article from CNN Science. So clearly, it must be 100% accurate, right? Because CNN Science would never tell us anything that wasn't confirmably correct, right? Trust the science? Well, we're going to. The story: why telling time on the moon is a conundrum for NASA. Well, that's interesting. Scientists say a lunar timescale is needed before astronauts return to the moon. Why would it be needed before if it didn't have one the first time? Seen in the sky, evening hours, cars, turkey. Now, wait until you hear this. A lot of folks aren't up to speed on the passage of time. CNN, it's easy to take the moon for granted as a silvery orb in the night sky, providing a soft light on most evenings. But have you ever pondered what time it is on the moon? As multiple countries race to establish a human presence on the lunar surface, experts say it is time to establish a time scale for Earth's natural satellite. Otherwise, things could get confusing. Now, they're not arguing about what time zone should be up there. It has to do with the theory of relativity. And when you read what they say here, it's literally the moon landing self-debunks. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity decades ago changed the way we understand time. And time even passes differently depending on where a clock is sitting on Earth. Determining a lunar timescale will be even more challenging. The new system of measurement that NASA and its international partners need to agree on will have to account for the fact that, pay attention, this is part you need to sit down for, the fact that seconds tick by faster on the moon. Over time, those seconds add up, but it will be crucial for astronauts living in lunar habitats and scooting around in moon buggies who need to know exactly what time it is. I thought we already did scoot around in moon buggies and stay up there for days at a time. Why didn't they need to know then? Now, you ready for this? Florida Monkey, are you talking about Holly, what do you got? Stargate, unlike Star Wars and Star Trek, the series, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it if you're part of this channel for any amount of time. Stargate dealt with actual science. Stargate dealt with actual real science, unlike make-believe transporters and food replicators in Star Trek and ridiculous lightsabers and all this stuff in Star Wars. Stargate, the series, actually dealt with real physics and real science. And it included a few other things. But there would be a giant problem with velocity measurements if time were passing faster. As they say, CNN, science, facts first. Remember, CNN science, facts first. We're going to say what they said, and we're going to not deviate from their quotes whatsoever because they are the authority on science. Since time passes faster on the moon than it does on Earth, how in the world could they have possibly calculated velocity correctly to land? Because they said, okay, well, look, we need to be going this fast at this amount of time and we need to decrease our velocity. How is velocity measured? In meters per what? Meters per Earth second. That's right. Not moon seconds. Earth seconds. An Earth second is different than a moon second. And if they were truly in what you would really call a time dilation field, because if seconds are ticking by faster on the moon than they are on Earth, you are in what they call a time dilation field. Meaning if you're speaking at a normal rate that people understand like this, how many of you have gone down in the video here, right on YouTube, go down, click on the little gear for settings, and go speed, and click speed, and you can speed up how fast this video's audio goes by, 1.5, 1.25. Guess what? You don't even have to worry about that on the moon because seconds are ticking by faster. But if you were talking at a normal perceived rate to whatever, another person, and somebody from Earth were listening to that, you would sound very differently than you would sound to yourself on the moon. Because why? Because time is moving faster for you but slower for them. So how in the world would they have been able to send messages back and forth, not being able to allow for this, especially since satellites in Earth orbit also have to adjust for the difference in the passage of time based on their velocity. And guess who gave you this hint in virtually the last episode of Stargate? The entire thing was centered around them being trapped in a time dilation field, where for them time was going by way, way, way faster than it was passing outside the field. Meaning they were aging very, very, very quickly. And they were going through, and for them, time seemed to be passing normally. You know, many, many years inside the field was very different, was equivalent to only a few hours outside the field. And this has been proven to be fact over and over again. Even CNN Science will confirm the theory of relativity that as you increase velocity, time slows down to a crawl. That's why as you approach the speed of light, That's why Star Trek had to make up some warp bubble field to travel at faster than the speed of light, because if you went actually faster than the speed of light, time would literally stop for you. And 1 second would be virtually an eternity for everyone else. You'd take a 1 second trip at the speed of light from here to Jupiter and then back, and then virtually all life on Earth would be gone because of the amount of time that would have passed. So riddle me this. Riddle me this. How could they have done, if they did not have a basic concept at that time, pardon, I guess the pun there, at that time, 1969 and earlier, of the passage of time and how to handle the differences? It would have affected everything. The air, think about the air supply for 1 minute. They say, okay, here on Earth, we need to supply this amount of oxygen because to go through, whatever we need to go through up there, because you're going to go through so many pounds per what? Per Earth minute, per Earth hour, per Earth second. So, but they weren't accounting for the passage of time and the seconds kicking past faster up on the moon. So they would have had to completely change their calculations. And the most important part about this is that you would think, if they actually had made some type of a stipulation or adjustment, that they would have already explained it in all of the movies and all of the debunking. But you see, CNN slipped, because CNN is an emotionally run news organization. Nobody thought, hey, you know what? We should probably shut up about this, because people are going to ask the question. But of course, what do we know about CNN and their take on science? You're not allowed to question the science. And since their whole group of people who watches CNN have been already taught and trained and conditioned to never question science, they know they can put out an article like this, because nobody who actually thinks and has the guts to question science would show up and actually do it. I would love to hear the explanation for this. That Stargate already covered. In fact, Stargate and Stargate Atlantis both covered time dilation fields in different episodes for different reasons. To prove this point, time passes quicker on the moon. Seconds tick by faster. And over a long enough period of time, it would mess with calculations in a huge way. Velocity. I mean, everything you can possibly imagine where time was a factor would have been off. And if you're even off by a little bit, when you're trying to take a teeny tiny witsy bitsy little itty bitty bullet of a lunar capsule and land it on a body that many millions of miles away, minor miscalculations become major problems. I'm sure there's guys out there now who are experts with ballistic weapons and can tell you that the farther away your target is, the more exact you have to be. You're off by 1/10 or 1/100th of a degree on a sniper shot, and you won't even be anywhere near it. So I will leave it there, 14 minutes in. But it boils down to this. There used to be a group of people in this country not so long ago that were not ruled by their emotions. Did they feel fear? Sure. Absolutely. The ones that were initially hitting the beach were feeling the fear of the unknown. Big empty beach. Do I make it? Do I not? Oh, but the ones that followed on, it was the fear of the known that they had to face, because when they were coming onto the beach, they saw all sorts of corpses laying everywhere. So which would have been worse? The fear of the known or the fear of the unknown? battlefield of the mind is the only battlefield. And I'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone, so much. I appreciate it for all the support at Patreon. You guys standing in the breach, making the difference, allowing the channel to continue. God bless all of you. Would love to have you over there. And like I said, I know it's tough for everyone. Give it a shot. $1, $5. 99% of the videos over there at the $1 level. There's a handful at the $5 level if you can afford it. I sure appreciate it for sure. But like I said, 90 days in, if you're having issues, there's problems, or it's not for you, fully refundable. Not a problem. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.